What's going on? Welcome on in. It is Thursday, August 24th, 2023, and we've got a trade recap here on Tesla. One and done, one trade made $112, and I made about 10.5% on these contracts, which we're out a couple of weeks, so really wasn't a super risky contract. And yeah, I want to cover this. It was a really simple trade, and this shouldn't take very, very long. So this was a bear flag. It was aligned with the system strategy that I have been trading. I entered with about just over $1,000 and I made just over 10%, roughly speaking. And my risk was about 7%. And I'll show you that here in a second with where I was risking. And the contracts were risked to about $5 and I entered at 534. So my stop loss I put in at $5. And then my take profits I put in at 590. I simply came in with an OCO order here. So I literally I just planned the trade out, put the stop loss, put the take profit. So I knew I was going to make about $110 on the take profit, and I knew I was going to risk about $70 if the stop loss hit. And whatever order hit first would hit first, and that would be the trade. And so that was it. So why and how / where did this come from? Why Tesla? All that. So let's pull it up. Tesla was trading, or at least opened up with a gap up and then immediately sold off. Okay. We were below the VWAP, so we had momentum to the downside. We actually were below. Well, Tesla's a stock that if we go back on the daily chart, the daily time frames, this is a stock that we were talking about on a stream or whatnot around 241, 242. We need to regain that level for Tesla to look good to the upside. And it still could do that in the coming days. But because it did not over the past couple of days after a test of that level, I liked how we were trending down on the bigger time frame. So your better bets are probably to the downside until we can regain that 44 or that 241 level. Okay. So that was the framework of the trade. Then I go to the 5-minute chart. I noticed Tesla wasn't the weakest, but it was one of the weaker stocks. And when Tesla's one of the weaker stocks on the day where the market's kind of shaky, popping up and down, the market ended up bouncing up and then down. Market was actually extremely strong. So market kind of opened up. I think it dipped. Let me just double check. It dipped. Then it bounced pretty strong back up to where it kind of opened. And then it eventually went down to new lows of the day. Tesla shot down and then it just consolidated. So instead of a big bounce like the S&P, Tesla was proving weakness, right? And that was great. I was like, okay, we got pressure on these lows. I want to get in. So I placed my level right here. That was around 232.30. A break of that level I was going to get in. And that's exactly what happened here. It was a little bit of drawdown because it bounced back a little bit. And then the next 5 minutes, it ended up flushing through and it pushed down to those lows. Now, I did miss out on a little bit more. The contracts, we can see that we went to 590s where I sold. They did go to 625, I believe, is when they went to. So I sold at 590. They went to 625, something along those lines. And I entered at 534. So going back to that Tesla chart, that essentially got me out somewhere in here. And then ended up going for a little bit more, but now it's kind of messing around and bouncing. The next thing I was also going to mention is that I was looking at Bookmap, which I've been using a bit more. Now I've got a link to them below, but I'll talk more about them in the future. I started using them for my trades just to see if I can kind of get a better picture of level 2. And we're seeing some pretty big sellers, a lot more selling pressure than buying pressure, which is great. Obviously makes sense. We're trending to the downside. But the level of interest where there was a lot of liquidity, a lot of orders stacking up was right around 230. So I kind of wanted to get out at that spot. And what you're seeing now is we did dip below it. So you could have made a few extra bucks to the downside. But now that 230 level is kind of soaking a lot of potential orders here. And you're seeing a lot of reaction there. So when I see a lot of liquidity at a level like that, and we're moving to the downside, that's a good spot for a target. And so that's what I was kind of looking for in terms of my target on Tesla to the downside. So that was the deal. That was the trade. And it was kind of a one and done. Did I maybe sell myself short by not scaling? Maybe. But when I look at the contracts that I picked, I went out to this 15th of September because I just wasn't seeing contracts, to be honest, that were next week that were not insanely volatile, because I like to look at the chart and say, hey, my stop loss is going to be at the highs of this consolidation, right? So I want these contracts, if they were to go against me, the contracts I was watching, would have been around $5. So my stop loss is $5. If I looked at other contracts, they would have risked maybe 10 to 15%, which I would like to keep that risk a little bit lower. And so that's why I played these little bit less volatile contracts out to the next monthly expiration, which is September 15th. Probably going to be seeing me play a lot more of those going forward. So bringing it all back on the month, we are inching closer to maybe being able to sneak it out green. I really did not think that I'd be able to do it. I still, I don't want to say I have my doubts, but I'm not expecting to do that. I'm just looking for more consistency with the sizing, and I think I've got a really good, I'm pretty dialed into the sizing now, and that was kind of the shakiness of the first couple of days of the month up here, and now we're kind of coming into, being a lot more consistent and solid about things. And I know my sizing, I know my risk rewards very, very well. There's no questions, and it's pretty much go execute. And don't do dumb shit. Don't take trades that aren't to system. And if you were to go back to the reports for this month now, and you were to go to the detailed reports, and let's go to setups. We have, let's go to tags. Sorry, not setups. Not to system or to system. I know I'm blocking it now. To system, we are up $273, and not to system, we're down $634 for the month. So it's like, dumb ass, stop playing marginal setups that are end up not being perfect to the system. And that's what I've been doing lately, and just kind of making sure, just by journaling the trades and just seeing these numbers, it's like, yeah, no shit. Like, well, we got to avoid these. And so it's not a lot of trades. It's 15 trades that we took that are not technically, upon review, I go back and say, these are actually not trades that I should be taking. When in the moment, maybe I kind of was like hopeful that it kind of looked good or close to what I look for, but it wasn't. So eliminate those. And that's too many trades to take in general this month, up around 60 trades. But it just shows you kind of what to do, what's working. Now, setups that are working good so far this month, bear flags are now green. They were red. We've been playing a lot of them. They were red. Bull flags have been actually better. And then we had one other thing here. The things that were red by setup were technically, upon further review, they actually weren't even setups that I trade. So that's what ends up happening. But it is what it is. And so that's where we're at. We will see if we can come back and maybe fill this bad boy up to the green side to finish off the month. But it is what it is, and we'll be here to recap these trades no matter what. So thanks so much for watching. Any links to TradeZella, the platform that we use here, anything that I use, TradingView, now I guess Bookmap too. But I'll talk more about them in the future, and and hopefully they'll become a useful resource. So far they look pretty good. They seems like a pretty good resource, but hopefully it becomes more useful to me in my trading. Thanks so much. Peace.